Eagles Nation, what is up? Tom, Views from the Link TV. You already know, Bird Buzz, Thursday nights. Um, but it's football season, and that's the biggest thing is that we're back into the season and we're ready to go. So I'm just gonna get right into these questions. I'm just really highly anticipating this game between the Eagles and the Redskins, but also the Patriots and the Kansas City Chiefs kicking off tonight. That's a good game as well. So we'll just get into the questions and we'll roll through it. Okay, so 808 Eagles asks, what can we truly expect from this year's running back core, and do you think it's going to be an area of concern heading into the 2018 draft? Okay, I think that I was a huge, supporter of Team Dalvin Cook. Everyone knows that. I was all about getting Dalvin Cook. I wanted to get a running back. I like the other guys too, and Fournette and not so much McCaffrey, but Mixon. And eventually I said, you know what, McCaffrey would be a pretty good pickup just because of his skill set. So the bottom line is I know that the Eagles need a dynamic player running the ball. It makes your team that much better. You got your quarterback, you got your receivers. Get the running game going. Get a dynamic player who can change a game with one touch coming out of your backfield, and you have an offense that's very balanced. However, they did not choose to do that this year. How the draft fell, I think that they just felt that addressing other positions such as cornerback, defensive line, those were more favorable spots to pick those guys in. So they got them, and then you couldn't snap your fingers and magically rescue the position. So pretty much stuck with a not so overwhelmingly crazy good running back by committee. It's solid, but it's not dynamic enough to where you can say you have a superstar at the running back position. So hopefully we can go get a guy that can make a difference because guys like Brian Westbrook and Shady McCoy really changed how the offenses of those eras worked. And I think that if you go get a guy that can be that productive, you're in a good spot. But right now for this year, we just have to kind of be patient and be happy for whatever these guys can give us. And hopefully they can give us something that, will help this team get to the playoffs. So Nick Velasquez, 36, N. Velasquez, 36. Nick Velasquez from the Fantasy League starting up this week. Let's go. Do you think our cornerbacks will still hold this team back, or will they get the job done? And that's the other question. And I mentioned before that they had addressed the position. However, they're still young. They're still going to make their mistakes. Jalen Mills, you have Sidney Jones potentially coming back. You have Rasul Douglas, and you have Ronald Darby. So those are four guys right there that are 23 years old or younger. They're going to make their mistakes, but the potential and everything about that group is so exciting. I'm definitely willing to be patient with these guys. Smithboy93 asks, is this the game that we snap our losing streak? Also, which player or players will surprisingly have a good game? I think that everybody's looking out for a guy like Nelson Aguilar to come out and have a huge opener. He's been the guy talked about to be the guy that's supposed to break out this year, and I think that it wouldn't. The question is, would it be surprising? I mean, I still think people would be very surprised if Nelson Aguilar came out and had a standout game, but I think surprisingly good. It's tough to say. I'll say Vinny Curry, a guy that everyone talks about the stars of the D-line and Derek Barnett and even Chris Long. I'd say either Vinny Curry or Chris Long. I mean, Chris Long's a backup. He's a rotational guy, but he can make a difference. But surprisingly good. I'm going to look for Vinny Curry to step up on the defensive side of the football, and maybe Wendell Smallwood on the offensive side to show that he has some burst and he can take advantage of things in the run game as well. So hopefully those two guys give us that extra X-Factor type spark, and Aguilar as well. And those are a couple guys to look out for there. J. Brad 13, Justin Bradley, another fantasy league member here. What are the most important things that have to happen in order for us to win this game? Well, it's pretty simple. This is pretty much, you can say this to any football game, but this is the thing that stands out to me against the Redskins, is that we need to protect our quarterback and we need to get to their quarterback. Those are the two things that make all the difference in a football game, and our lack of pass rush against Kirk Cousins and also our inability to protect Carson Wentz were probably, well, I'd say not getting pressure on Kirk Cousins has killed us for this whole losing streak. But last year we were not able to protect Carson Wentz, and in big situations as well. Lane Johnson didn't play in either of those games, so they'll see Lane Johnson for the first time in a year. And we'll see what happens. I think he's got something to prove, and I think the O-line has something to prove. So if you can protect Carson Wentz, I think that we'll get enough pressure on Kirk Cousins and make him, force him into some dumb mistakes. And we'll see, how much he can take back there, because we definitely strive to get pressure on quarterbacks, and we'll see how we look, and against a pretty good offensive line as well. So it's going to be a good matchup. That's why the Redskins-Eagles games are close, and that's why they've won, because they've won that battle in the trenches, and I think that's what has to happen for us to overcome this game. We need to move the line of scrimmage and push theirs back. It's that simple. We can't get bullied by this team anymore. It's everyone's sick of it, and I think that they have to do something about that. Big 3-4, another fantasy league member. I'm not really sure. I think he changed his Instagram name because I don't really recognize it, so I'm not sure who you are, but I'll still go with your question, obviously, because I do know who you are, just don't really know with this this Instagram handle. So Big 3-4 asks, any starters injured, ? And also how many turnovers will RD produce this week? Any starters injured as in, do any starters get injured, or are any starters injured? I think everyone's ready to go, other than, Sidney Jones is the obvious guy that everyone knew would be out, and you could call him a starter, I guess, but not really. There's the starters that played all preseason, everything. I'm pretty sure everyone's ready to go. So, and I hope no one gets hurt. Obviously, that's brutal. And yeah, I think guys like Brandon Graham and Jordan Hicks, you've seen them on the injury report a little bit, but I think they've been full participants even with their lingering injuries. So I think that they're going to both be fine to play. Guys get dinged up, it happens. So we'll see what happens there. But also he asked how many turnovers. So that's another thing that comes from creating pressure against the quarterback, especially like Kirk Cousins, who has that willingness to throw the ball into tight spaces. So you win the turnover battle, and that's what happens when you win the war in the trenches. You eliminate mistakes on your end, and you create mistakes on the other end. And that's so I'm hoping for 2 turnovers, 3 turnovers, but if they force 3 turnovers, they win the game. Quite simple, and they have to not commit turnovers. So turnovers are the name of the game. So that's a great question, but I'm hoping for 2. A pick and a forced fumble or something like that. Colin Zatelli, another fantasy league member, asks, who leads us in rushing yards for the season? This is the last question. I think it's a good one to end on. And I think we're going to have to see, but I would bet, if Wendell Smallwood can stay healthy, he might be the guy to look at, because Darren Sproles had a career high, I think it was 92 rushing attempts last year. Might have been 94. It was a career high either way, somewhere in the early 90s. And that is, for a career high at age 33, that's pretty crazy. That's not many carries is what I'm trying to get to. And for him to be, this old, I can't see him going over that. He's just not built for it. He's not a pure runner. So rushing, I would count Darren Sproles out. LeGarrette Blount is a good back, and you're not only going to see him on short yardage, but I don't think he's going to be a huge, 1,000-yard guy like he was in New England. I just don't see it. I think New England's just unreal, and they make guys way better than they actually are. And I think that he's a veteran running back that is going to give you heart, and he's going to give you his all every week, but he's not going to lead the team in rushing. I think it's going to be Wendell Smallwood. I really do. I think that Wendell Smallwood is the guy that's in line to take the carries as he has speed and he has, some pop. So he's more built like a guy you can give the ball to on any type of run play, rather than Blount, who's mostly just an inside runner, and Sproles, who's more a speed space guy. I think Smallwood has a combination of both, the most, to where he's the most capable back to take more carries. And I hope he develops into that, because number one, we need one for this year. And number two, I have a fantasy team that is hurting at RB2, and Wendell Smallwood's sitting on my bench. So if you can prove something this week, you'll get the start next week against the Chiefs. Probably a rough matchup, but we'll see how he does. Wendell Smallwood. So that's my guess. Could go, a different direction if he gets hurt. You never know what happens, but hopefully everyone stays healthy. Eagles coming Sunday. Steve's actually coming over for the game. If you remember the other guy on the show with me ages ago, he's actually coming over here for the game. So we'll maybe get a post game reaction. After the game. I'm hoping it's a win. I'm hoping it's a positive one. Pulled chicken, bacon, pepper jack sliders, or sandwiches on the menu. I didn't get the slider rolls, but that's what we're doing. We're rocking out. We're really giving it our all, and we're trying to ensure that victory because we know if we get it rocking here, they'll feel it in Washington. And we have some good traveling fans, and we have a couple guys that are going out to Washington. Everybody knows it's going to be crazy. It's the type of game where it's a week 1 game and you haven't felt this much the amount of pressure that's being built up into a week 1 game. I don't remember the last time I felt that, and it's even for the Giants Cowboys. I mean, it's a couple teams that are trying to prove themselves against teams that last year swept them. Cowboys Giants and Eagles Redskins. So we'll see what happens, but the NFC East is crazy right now for week 1. It's definitely the division to watch. Cowboys Giants are on Sunday night, and the Eagles Redskins are a 1:00 game. So just get ready, man. It's going to be crazy, and I just can't wait. And you'll see you'll see my tweets and stuff like that a couple times through the game, but I won't live tweet it. It's too distracting. I need to focus in and watch, and during commercials sometimes I'll get some tweets off, but mostly I put my phone on airplane mode and I get in the zone. We're kicking it off live here, NFL opening weekend, Los Angeles, views from the Link TV. This is how we're doing it. Just shared it with me. Share with us how you guys rock out on game day. I want to hear it. I want to hear anything. Comment below, comment on Instagram, Twitter, whatever. We talk birds. It's what we do. And the Birds play an actual game on Sunday. Finally, it's back. NFL football. Everyone enjoy it, and we'll see you after the game. So fly, Eagles, fly, and that's really all I got to say, guys. Later.